a strong feeling of support or allegiance or the ability to be loyal. In sports, it's often synonymously equated with a sizable financial commitment, particularly when you're trying to retain one of your hometown heroes. For the Detroit Tigers, they've got little more than a year left with their 9th-round homegrown product known as Tarik Skubal, before one of the best pitchers in baseball has to make a decision about his playing and long-term future. Does he stay loyal to the Old English D, or is he open for business and goes to the highest bidder? While that matter is still up for debate, league-wide, the MLB is also in a position where they have to step up to the plate because they're on the clock with the collective bargaining agreement set to expire at the end of the 2026 season. The future vitality of the sport of baseball has to go under the microscope. Does the league take a fiscally conservative and some would say right approach and implement a salary cap? Or does the free market of no salary cap still entice the players to do business with the teams that have the greatest means and have no restrictions financially? Or do they see value in cost control, which could benefit the entire league? And finally, as we head towards the conclusion of this current 2025 season, how does the recently passed trading deadline impact the contenders' chances to host the ultimate prize in October? For some answers to those very pressing questions, I had a wide-ranging discussion with my friend Tom Ruminski. He's a baseball news editor for The Score, who joined me this week to have a wide-ranging and energetic discussion about the future of Tarik Skubal, the Tigers. We even talked a little Blue Jays and their playoff chances, as well as the current and future health of the sport. If you're a baseball fanatic, this is a conversation that you can't afford to miss. And lucky for all of us, my conversation with Ruminski starts right now. I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. Absolutely. So, Tom, if you're ready, my friend, I'll take a moment to welcome you to the program, and I'm super excited to talk to you about the state of the MLB, my friend. Great to see you, and happy Friday to you, my friend.
Thanks. I'm excited to get going.
Absolutely. So, Tom, I'm going to start you off with one of the most burning questions on the mind of every Tigers fan around town, my friend. I know you're based in Toronto, but I'm sure you've got an opinion on the future of Tarik Skubal, buddy. So tell me, do you think he'll stay with the Tigers or head to the highest bidder when he gets free agency in a year and a half, my friend? What are your thoughts there, my friend?
So first and foremost, incredibly jealous that the Tigers and Tigers fans get to watch a guy like Tarik Skubal pitch every fifth day. Just an electric repertoire. He's super tough mentally on the mound as well. and in the prime of his career, and super impressive. Looks like he's the favorite right now for his second consecutive AL Cy Young. It's going to be tight. Garrett Crochet from the Boston Red Sox has had a very impressive year as well. So I think that's a race that's going to go right until the very end of the regular season. But with that in mind, I think a key date that fans have to watch is spring training of 2026. I think the Tigers have to get him inked up to a long-term extension before that, or I think that there's a good chance that he's going to leave in free agency. A player of his caliber, with that type of resume and that type of stuff, he's not going to want to sign an extension during the season if it isn't done this offseason or by the beginning of next spring training. And really, there's going to be no reason for him not to hit the open market, just because he really is set, barring any sort of injuries, to become the first pitcher in MLB history to get a $400 million plus contract. That's the type of skill set he has, and the age, he's 28. He's right there. I think Skubal's actually going to hold that record until Paul Skeens is eligible to sign an extension or test free agency after the 2029 campaign. I certainly don't think the Pirates are going to give Skeens $500 million, but after Skubal, he's going to be the next great starting pitcher to watch for. But if Skubal does hit free agency, I think the major players, of course, are going to be the Yankees, Dodgers, Mets, Cubs, Phillies. All the big market teams are going to want to have that true ace, that number one guy who can go out and just get you a win when you need it. He's shown that he can carry a team in the playoffs as well after Detroit's surprising run to the ALDS last season. And he's a true difference maker. And I think the Tigers have the money. Owners, these guys have billions of dollars. It just comes down to whether they're going to open up the wallets. And I think Detroit should absolutely do it for Skubal. The question is, will they?
So that's my next question. Do you think they will, my friend, or do you think a larger market will scoop him up when he hits free agency?
It's hard for me to envision a guy like Skubal. Like, it's not saying Detroit isn't a big market. I would consider them a mid-market, but again, I think because he's so close to being able to test free agency right now, that I think it's going to have to. The Tigers are going to have to pay basically open market value for him at this point. I do not see him taking any sort of hometown discount, even though, of course, he wrote that letter to fans after that really impressive run to the ALDS. And I'm sure he really loves Detroit. That's the only team he's ever known. He was drafted and developed. He's very familiar with the training staff and doctors there, considering some of the injuries that he's been through. So very, very comfortable in that environment. But of course, again, it all comes down to this offseason and the negotiations before camp to begin next season, because that's going to be super critical if the Tigers are going to be able to keep arguably the best pitcher in baseball right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you know, Tom, the trading deadline just passed, and a lot of people around these parts, my friend, were underwhelmed with what the Tigers did during the trading deadline. So I'll leave it to you. What say you about how the Tigers added to their team? And do you think they did enough to compete in the playoffs, my friend?
So I don't. I'm actually, agreeing with the general consensus that it was underwhelming. Charlie Morton, listen, he's been really impressive over his career. He's been an all-star in the past, but he's 41 years old, and he did not look great when he was with the Baltimore Orioles. And then you got Chris Paddock as well, because there were fears that Reese Olson was going to miss the rest of the season. It looks like he could be back for the playoffs, so that is encouraging for Detroit. Rafael Montero, Paul Sewald, and Cal Finnegan added to the bullpen. These moves just don't don't really move the needle enough, unfortunately. They missed out on some of the bigger all-star relievers available. They really needed a big bat, in my opinion. Suarez would have been ideal in the middle of that lineup. Listen, Riley Green, Spencer Torkelson, Cole Keith, Gleyber Torres, Kerry Carpenter, impressive guys, and especially Green. He was an all-star this year, really emerging, but you need that vet guy, that slugger who can, really put the team on his back. And Suarez would have been a perfect fit. And he said, he went on record publicly that he would have welcomed a return to Detroit, and it didn't happen. The Mariners paid a big price to acquire him. And listen, Detroit, they cannot rest on their laurels. The Tigers are 7-16 in their last 23 games. And listen, I know they had a tremendous first half. They were the talk of the season, had a slew of all-stars this year in Atlanta, but there's a ton of baseball to play. It's only August 8th. We still have almost 2 months to go. So the Cleveland Guardians, who have been up and down all season, are only 6 games behind the Tigers, chasing them down right on their heels, nipping on them in the AL Central. So the Tigers need to wake up ASAP and find that strong play that they showed in the first couple of months of the 2025 campaign.
Yeah, my last question on the Tigers before we move on, my friend, is you imagine that they are only up on the AL Central by 6 games, and a month and a half ago it was 15 and a half, my friend. So is it time for people around Detroit to press the panic button, my friend? And how do you think they can fix their offensive woes? Because they haven't been offensively consistent since the All-Star game either, my friend. What are your thoughts there?
I don't think it's time to press the panic button, just because during a 162 game season, it's inevitable. There's going to be the ebbs and flows of playing baseball over half a year. And the Tigers went through a rough stretch. Every single team does it. And it's just all about how they regroup now and continue to, press the gas pedal down and keep on moving forward. Again, I like the mix of players that they have. Some of their young sluggers are really coming into their own. Spencer Torkelson, really impressive the first couple months. He's slowed down a little bit, so he needs to make an adjustment to get back to the hitter that he was early on. And same with Riley Green as well. So I think the lead obviously isn't what it once was, but the talent is certainly there. And AJ Hinch, he's been in this situation before. He has gotten multiple teams into the postseason before, and he's got a great resume. I think he can definitely motivate that clubhouse, and I think they just need to find a way to start playing better baseball again.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tom, I want to ask you about the future of the entire sport, because, as you know, their collective bargaining agreement expires at the end of next season. So I'm curious about your thoughts about the future of the sport, whether there'll be a salary cap, and how we can make sure that baseball continues to be viable, my friend. What are your thoughts there?
Honestly, Kevin, it is not looking good right now. It's, I remember a few years ago, when I was working for The Score, we went through a work stoppage as well, and spring training was impacted. But luckily, the regular season, still was salvaged. But the fight seems to be, or the looming fight, I would say, this one's going to be really dirty, and both sides, the owners and MLB, led by Rob Manfred, going up against the MLBPA. It looks like everyone's going to dig in really, really hard about the salary cap. Some owners want it, obviously, and with a salary cap, you would have to get a floor as well. So the small market teams with revenue sharing and whatnot, they would obviously have to hit a certain point as well in terms of their payroll and their salary. But what I found to be really interesting is a story that broke recently that Jeff Passan of ESPN reported on the incident between two-time NL MVP Bryce Harper and Manfred, where Harper apparently went nose to nose with the MLB commissioner and said, you can get the F out of here if you want to talk about a salary cap. When Manfred was meeting in the Phillies, he goes around to every single one of the 30 teams in baseball to, see how the game can be improved and to hear from the players and to, strengthen relations between the league and the players. And so that was really explosive. And there's still a whole bunch of time before these negotiations truly get underway. But what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing, I think that the players, and especially Harper said it, they're willing to sit out 162 to make sure there isn't a salary cap. So we absolutely could be seeing the biggest labor dispute this sport has seen in decades.
Do you think the owners want a salary cap to create more parity in baseball? Why do you think they're pushing so hard for a salary cap and cash floor, my friend? What are your thoughts there?
I think I think it just comes down to the bottom line and owners, especially. I think of a guy like Bob Nutting in Pittsburgh, who gets a lot of criticism for always trying to keep his payrolls low and not handing out the big extensions that other players may be seeing with other teams. And I think that the owners are just going to try to keep the costs down, but the players are going to push back. And I think what's important to them is making sure that their salaries aren't capped. And you see that around the big four with NFL, NBA, and NHL. And I think, you still see parity definitely in Major League Baseball. And you can see that in the playoffs, which is a total crapshoot. And but I think that the owners again are just disguising parity because they ultimately want to save money, and that's what they're calling it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tom, if I made you a special advisor to the commissioner of baseball, and he asked you for 3 ways that the MLB could appeal to a younger audience, my friend, what do you think you would tell the commissioner to focus on?
So I think that we have seen examples already of what MLB has done to attract younger fans. The All-Star game was really cool for me. I thought that the swing off was, and this isn't actually a new rule. It was implemented years ago, but it wasn't actually seen until Atlanta this year. And that was really impressive. Of course, in the NHL, you have shootouts, which are dramatic and really get fans engaged. So that was cool. And you with the home run derby, I think that's incredibly successful. I think the most attractive thing for fans when they go to a game, of course, is seeing the long ball. Everybody enjoys that. I think there's a lot of big personalities. And so that's one of the marquee events there. I think that's really good for attracting younger fans. The league, I think, over the last couple of years has really pushed for some of the younger stars to show off their personality and their swagger. I think of guys like Vladdy Guerrero Jr., Ronald Acuna Jr., Juan Soto, some of the Latin players. And another really fun event, the Players Weekend, is really cool. I think, with the nicknames on the back and certain jerseys, I think young spectators can really get into that. And something that I've really been impressed with recently are the City Connect jerseys. I think that's a cool way for, in terms of branding and marketing the city and kind of incorporating different aspects of that city into the jersey to represent the teams. That's been a really cool initiative by the league, and they continue to roll that out with all 30 of the teams. And then I think that you're seeing, I know here in Toronto, we have something called Junior Jays on Sundays where kids are able to go to the ballpark. They can run the bases. There's a bunch of cool activities as well, whether it's like bouncy castles, face painting, or just little games to kind of get them familiar with the sport of baseball. I'm sure a slew of other teams around the league incorporate that as well. So I know that this has kind of been, I suppose, a debate whether MLB is able to attract the younger fans. But I think over the last few years, they've done a whole lot more to do that. And I think it's only going to improve moving forward.
And Tom, are you a fan of the pitch clock? Do you like the pitch clock and the new rule when baseball games go into extra innings with the runner on second base? Do you think that helps sort of speed up the interest in the pace of baseball?
Yeah, you know what, Kevin? I think those were actually incredible innovations. Rob Manfred definitely gets a lot of slack from some, fans out there and players, but he has definitely improved the game over the last few years. I do know some baseball purists out there. I have coworkers who, have complained, especially about the runner on second, the ghost runner. But listen, I never was a fan of 5 or 6 hour long games. I think that's just crazy, and it adds some excitement, and it's not as dramatic as like a swing off that you saw at the All-Star game. But already putting that pressure on opposing pitchers and hitters as well in extras, I think that's a phenomenal idea there, and it really has shortened the length of the time of contests, and I think that's great. I think the average is like under 3 hours now, which is incredible. And then the pitch clock is great. I think it keeps pitchers on their toes. It keeps hitters on their toes. And it's always fascinating to see, the automatic strike or the ball come into play. That definitely changes the dynamic of a matchup. And I think there's more to come, right? We got robot umps on the horizon. I think that's going to be a welcome change as well. The human element's still really important, but instant replay change the game for the better. Robo umps are definitely going to change the game for the better. It just comes down to just adjusting to the game as it evolves, right? Like at one point, in the history of mankind, somebody said, "Hey, we have fire," or "Hey, we have the wheel." Don't push back on innovation and change. It's a good thing. And it's going to be super interesting how players adapt, because with robo umps being incorporated, framing is going to be an aspect that's actually taken away. So now it's going to be about challenges and making sure that you use them in the right spot. And I think it's going to be super interesting moving forward. And again, I'm going to give my flowers to Rob Manfred when he deserves them. And these innovations have definitely piqued a lot of interest.
Yeah, and Tom, I asked you about the Tigers earlier and their activity at the trading deadline, but I'm going to ask you now about league-wide, my friend, who positioned themselves best through the trading deadline moves to compete in October, in your opinion. What are your thoughts there, my friend?
Yeah, so I really liked what the Mariners did by acquiring Naylor and Suarez. Unfortunately, Naylor, he's dealing with some shoulder soreness. I don't know the extent of the injury. The Mariners skipper said last night that he's considered day-to-day for now, but really like that. They're 6-1 since the deadline, and right on the heels of the Astros in the AL West. That's going to be a super tight race coming down the stretch here. Those two teams actually meet for a huge 3-game series in their third last series of the regular season in September. And, from a local standpoint, the Blue Jays, they took a really intriguing gamble by acquiring Shane Bieber from the Guardians. He's looked great during his rehab starts. I believe he has like 27 strikeouts over 16 innings with 4 earned runs. And he's going to have a 6-week runway to find his pre-Tommy John surgery form before the playoffs. The Blue Jays don't really need Bieber to be great during the regular season. They have got themselves a nice lead there. So I think it's just about him fine-tuning his command, building up his pitch count, his arm strength. So that's what he's going to focus on. And all they really need from Bieber is to be locked in for the playoffs. And I think that's a really important addition because the way it stands right now, they got Kevin Gossman, Jose Barrios, Chris Bassett, Max Scherzer, and Eric Lauer. All those guys are solid, but they're middle rotation guys at this point in their careers, not a true number one, which Shane Bieber has definitely been in the past. And now what I didn't like, I feel like the Boston Red Sox really should have added another top starter to pair with Garrett Crochet. Dustin May has a lot of potential, but I don't know if he's going to be able to help them this season. And then I was actually quite disappointed with what the Chicago Cubs did, considering they've been such a great team this year. I don't think the additions of Willie Castro, Taylor Rogers, Michael Soroka, who's already hurt with a shoulder issue, and Andrew Kittredge are enough. Chicago is connected to several top starters and relievers, but they didn't land any. The lineup is still really great there with Seiya Suzuki, Kyle Tucker, PCA, Pete Crow Armstrong, of course. But I don't know if they have enough starting pitching. And right now they're going to be battling with the NL Central leading Brewers, who have the best record in baseball. And their biggest strength is they have a ton of pitching. So I don't know if Chicago did enough there. And that's kind of a shame because I've really liked what the Cubs have done this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tom, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about the Blue Jays' chances to really compete in October because, as you said at the outset, they're really having a surprising season. So what excites you the most when we talk about the Blue Jays, and what concerns you the most too there, buddy? What are your thoughts there?
So I think the Blue Jays are really good at putting the ball in play, and they're great with runners in scoring position. They're actually the best team of this century at preventing strikeouts and have the second best WRC plus in baseball, just behind the New York Yankees. I've been really impressed with that. And this is after a lot of people were criticizing the lineup and the offense at the beginning of the season. They've really found themselves, especially after incorporating a new hitting coach in David Popkins. So he's done a really great job with them. And they've been great defensively over the last couple of years. That trend has continued this year, but they've done this without Gold Glovers Dalton Varsho and Andres Jimenez for large stretches of the year. So it's been really impressive to see that. Ernie Clement has stepped up, and a bunch of other guys have stepped up as well. Alejandro Kirk, everyone always viewed him as a great hitting catcher, but he's actually turned into one of the best defensive backstops in baseball. I wasn't expecting that from Kirk, and he is now a 2-time All-Star. So that's been a really nice development there. And I think there's a lot of similarities between these Blue Jays and the 2015 Kansas City Royals, which they were just a really solid all-around team. Everybody knew their role. They weren't great offensively, solid pitching, great defense, more of a team instead of individuals that were carrying that club. Toronto is more power than that KC club, but the latter actually had a better bullpen. Which, the Jays, of course, did address at the deadline by acquiring Sir Anthony Dominguez and Louis Varland. And they have a bunch of guys, and Jimmy Garcia also coming back as well. So I think that bullpen is going to look really sharp heading into the postseason. Something that concerns me with the Blue Jays is actually what I touched on before is the rotation has a bunch of vets, but no true number one. And of course, that's why they went out and got Shane Bieber to, see if he can find himself. So that's going to be definitely something to monitor. And lastly, I didn't think this was going to be a concern, but George Springer, he still isn't back playing rehab games. Of course, he got hit in the head in a super, super scary play, and he's having a renaissance season. Looks like George Springer of the olds, being able to be a true difference maker with his bat. And so his health moving forward, that's going to be really important. And especially because Anthony Santander, the big free agent slugger that they got, who hit 44 homers for the Orioles last season, he's been hurt, and I think he's still going to be out weeks if he even returns this season. So they're going to need Springer back and healthy if they truly want to make a run and bring Toronto its first championship since the back-to-back titles in '92 and '93.
Yeah, and I'm also curious to ask you, Tom, after the deadline was over, what a team intrigued you most? Is either a dark horse to win the World Series or a team that really got a good haul back in a rebuilding effort, which will speed up their ability to compete. So, what are you? What's your takeaway after the trading deadline? Whether it would be a dark horse for the World Series or a team that really positioned themselves well for the future. What are your thoughts there?
So this is a club that really went under the radar and has come out of nowhere and is actually turning into one of the better stories of the MLB season, and that is the Miami Marlins. They were going nowhere. It looked like another typical Marlins season where they were going to finish close to the bottom, if not in the bottom of the NL East standings. And then all of a sudden, something just totally clicked. They are the first MLB team to go from 16 games or more under 500 to a 500 record since the Tampa Bay Rays in 2014. They achieved that in a week ago. And heading into the season, I predicted that they would be last in that division, and that hasn't happened. Shockingly, the Atlanta Braves, with all the injuries and underperformance there, have really struggled. But in terms of Miami, three guys that I'm really excited about moving forward. Kyle Stowers, he's turned into one of the best hitters in baseball this season after being a sneaky deadline acquisition last year in a trade with Baltimore. He wasn't even the headliner. That was Connor Norby. So fascinating to see what's happening with Stowers. And then I'm really happy that the Marlins didn't trade any of their young pitchers at the deadline as well. Edward Cabrera was rumored to be going to a bunch of teams, playoff contenders interested, of course, just because under team control for years. So that's a guy I really like. And Uri Perez as well, former top pitching prospect. He's back after undergoing elbow surgery. And I think that trio right there is going to be really important for the Marlins moving forward as they try to get their way back into the postseason.
Yeah, and Tom, I've got two questions left for you. The first one has to do with if I asked you to submit your World Series pick for this portion of the season, my friend, who do you think will be playing in the World Series this October, and why do you feel that way, my friend? I'm curious to get your answer.
Okay, so I know that maybe the LA Dodgers haven't performed up to expectations after the offseason. Another great offseason. Everybody saw them as a super team and were wondering if they could challenge, if not beat, the single season, regular season mark for wins. And I think LA has got all the talent. I know they've dealt with a ton of pitching injuries, but when they're healthy with that rotation, Ohtani now being stretched out, back to being a two-way star, just so much firepower, so much star power. I think they're still the team to beat, even though the playoffs are a total lottery, basically. They did it last year with two starting pitchers, basically. So they're the favorites until somebody beats them. And I would be biased saying the Blue Jays, I really like what they have to offer. They're a complete team. But I think the Seattle Mariners really, especially after that deadline, the lineup is looking super dangerous with Suarez, Naylor joining Cal Raleigh, who's having a historic season, could end up being the AL MVP. You got J-Rod, Julio Rodriguez. He always starts slow. He's figuring it out. And then Randy Arozarena having a career season. He could put up a 30-30 campaign for the first time in his career. And that's to pair with a tremendous starting rotation. You got Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, Luis Castillo, Brian Wu, Bryce Miller. The list goes on and on and on. I think Seattle has it all. They usually somehow end their campaigns in heartbreak. That's been the story of the team in their franchise history. So we'll see what happens there. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's the Mariners and the Dodgers playing in the Fall Classic.
Absolutely. And Tom, finally, I'm curious because I know that you manage the vertical or one of the most successful verticals for the MLB for the score. And I'm curious, what do you think leads to your personal and professional success when it comes to fan engagement and really giving them the content that they're after, my friend?
So I think a massive shift that has happened has been sports gambling, and that's totally changed the game. Score Bet and ESPN Bet, our sister brand, of course, both owned by Penn Entertainment, allows users to access sports news and sports books in one place. It's a one-stop shop. In terms of the MLB vertical, we use videos, news, features, and running blogs to diversify our content with creative and speedy push notifications. In terms of analytics, the Jays do huge numbers for us, but same with the big market teams. The Yankees, the Mets, Dodgers, Phillies, Cubs, Red Sox, all those clubs, they always drive the numbers. And then I think what's really important for the score is brand recognition and loyalty. That's a major factor. Myself personally, growing up with the score brand in Canada, I always remember watching OGs like Tim McAuliffe and Sid Seixeiro when the TV network was still around. They were doing their highlight shows, and that's how I got into it. When I was a kid, I would always pretend to be doing play-by-play or color commentary, and I think that's what really intrigued me. And so I pursued my passion, and I'm, very happy to be working as a MLB editor now and a writer. I love going down to the Rogers Center, chatting with players, covering games, doing original features, some investigative journalism. Kevin, I feel that, if you love what you do, you don't work a single day in your life. And I'm very happy to be working with the score.
It's pretty cool to get paid to cover a kids game, isn't it?
It's very cool, for sure.
Absolutely. And Tom, tell me if people want to get connected with you or the stuff you're putting out, my friend, what's the best way they can do that?
So you can obviously download the Score app. You can check out the MLB vertical. You're going to see my byline there under authors. You can also hit me up on Twitter and on Instagram. On Twitter, it's at Tom Ruminski. I'm always down to have discussions about baseball and any other sports. I'm just a fan and a junkie, just like everybody else. And I love talking about the sport and just talking about journalism as a whole. So don't be afraid to hit me up.
Well, Tom, I really enjoyed our wide-ranging discussion about the future of the MLB, my friend. I think you're doing great work, buddy, and I want to thank you for spending a couple of minutes with me. It's most appreciated.
I really appreciate it, Kevin. Have yourself a great day.